Hi, hello. Let's get delusional, right? Today I'm going to be doing a video about the planet Neptune and the symbolism that it holds in general, but specifically relating to astrology. Delusion falls under Neptunian association, so we will be a little delulu today. Planet associations are relevant because then you can use it to then interpret the birth chart and what it means for you personally. Everything in the world can be divided into a sign or multiple sign associations through the lens of the zodiac. Reading the birth chart isn't just about trying to decipher your personality, but it's showing you a path to your greatest fulfillment. The birth chart can often show you things that you would be good at, and sometimes it's something you normally would not think of. Sometimes it's even something that you initially thought you would never do or something you would never be good at or comfortable with. But if you overcome your fears, it ends up bringing you fulfillment and alignment to your highest path. Neptune is the 8th planet from the Sun and technically the farthest since Pluto has been demoted. But of course, Pluto still has a very important part in astrology. Neptune has a pretty light blue greenish color similar to the color of Uranus, and it used to be depicted as a darker blue, but that was actually the scientists photoshopping it to highlight its more intense features. It's very cold there, about negative 361 degrees Fahrenheit, which is negative 218 degrees Celsius. And Neptune was discovered in 1846. Its orbital period around the Sun is about 165 Earth years, so it's moving a bit slow compared to the more inner planets. In astrology, since the planet is moving slower, it is often called a generational planet. It still has great importance in the birth chart, depending on the house and aspects to other planets. But since it moves more slowly, it can be used to interpret changes over a longer period of time. A great book that I read discusses this more at length, called Cosmic Trends: Astrology Connects the Dots. Neptune has strong winds reaching about 1,200 miles per hour and is composed of mostly gases and ice. The appearance and characteristics of a planet also influences its interpreted symbolism. Before they discovered the outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, the astrologers could only go off of what they could see with the naked eye. They assigned each of the zodiac signs to each of the planets. This is called traditional astrology. Modern astrology has added different associations to the outer planets. In traditional astrology, there are 7 planetary bodies because the sun and the moon aren't considered planets. They are considered luminaries because the sun produces the light and the moon reflects the light. So planetary bodies is used to summarize all of the planets. Leo is ruled by the sun. Cancer is ruled by the moon. Gemini and Virgo are ruled by Mercury. Taurus and Libra are ruled by Venus. Aries and Scorpio are ruled by Mars. Pisces and Sagittarius are ruled by Jupiter. And Aquarius and Capricorn are ruled by Saturn. With the modern addition, they had to add new correlating associations as the outer planets were discovered. They associated Pisces with Neptune, Aquarius with Uranus, and Scorpio with Pluto. So that means Pisces is associated with Jupiter and Neptune. Aquarius is associated with Uranus and Saturn, and Scorpio is associated with Mars and Pluto. If you don't know already, in astrology, there are 12 houses or divisions in the birth chart that are associated with different areas of life. There is a lot of overlap between the associations and symbolism of Neptune, Pisces, and the 12th house. They have a lot of things in common. Some people say that the houses are ruled by a specific sign, so like in this case that the 12th house is ruled by Pisces. However, some people say the houses are not ruled by a particular sign, they just contain some overlap. I don't have a strong opinion about that. It's, they definitely have some stuff in common, and I think that's fair to leave it at that. The things that Neptune, Pisces, and the 12th house have in common are things that are hidden or unknown. There is mystery surrounding that idea. Secrecy, including things that are concealed and confidential. Also fictitious names. There are also places of seclusion, where there is isolation from other people and where you spend a lot of time alone. This includes any places of confinement, such as prisons or jails, but also hospitals, as hospitals can be very isolating and stressful, as You're dealing with a lot of probably mental health issues related to whatever physical ailments you have going on. And retirement, which can also be isolating. You can become lonely, especially if you have now new developed health issues or you're feeling not needed anymore by society or your family. Also associated are delusions, or things that can cause a lack of clarity. Conspiracy theories also fall into this category, as there's an element of truth that is unknown for sure. Religious delusions and fanaticism. Fanaticism is the irrational enthusiasm or extreme devotion to a cause, belief, or person where they do not tolerate opposition well and can manifest in extreme ways such as violence. Also associated here are people who are seeking the unknown and hidden, such as private investigators and detectives. People who are liars, cheaters, deceptive, and fraudulent are also here. This isn't to say all Pisces placements are lying, cheaters, and delusional, but it is a shadow aspect to the sign and is possible to fall back on this type of deception. Escapism is another one, along with drugs and drug use. A lot of people indulge in a variety of escapism methods and substance abuse to avoid facing reality. Normally, suicide is associated with Uranus or Pluto, but I think it can apply to Neptune when thinking of suicide as a form of escapism. Psychic people are also associated, as well as occultism and occult writers. Charities or large organizations or workhouses, as this can be an isolating but working collective of people. Also associated here are homes for the poor, sleepwalking, the deep sea, and poetry. When you remove the 12th house when comparing all of these energies, so you're just looking at Pisces and Neptune, you get a more lighthearted, dreamy, and artistic type of associations, such as dancing or photography. These ideas are a bit more positive, and the associations have to do more with bodies of water, like ponds, lakes, fishing, boats, anything floating on the water, like barges. There's also more emphasis on spirituality, clairvoyancy, the mystical, and mediumship. There's still the element of deceit here, but related to character actors. Here we have big ideas and big dreams, the abstract and the intangible, sensitive people and sympathy, chaos, clouds, as clouds are notorious symbolism for being delulu. Also here is the simulation, which is like this matrix we live in. And lastly, we have mazes and veils. When you're looking at just Pisces and the 12th house energy together, we combine elements of isolation with the spiritual side of Pisces. This type of isolation is associated with more spiritual reasons for isolation, such as convents, monasteries, nuns, nunneries, monks, and sanatoriums, which were a treatment recovery center more popular back in the day to recover from certain illnesses such as tuberculosis. Shout out to John Green. In spiritual isolation, you tend to go through certain transformations and learn certain insights that are often painful. You learn to address and clear internal struggles, delusions, and distortions of the mind. This is why this pairing is also associated with disappointments, limitations, especially the ones that we place on ourselves, self-injury, and self-undoing, but also ultimate understanding. Experiences outside the physical realm also reside here, such as astral entities and inner plane entities. Neptune and the 12th house together add back in an element of danger being associated with assassins and kidnappers. Grave danger happening in secrecy. This is persecution by secret enemies and cabals. Here you stay in delusion caused by fears. Also, ailments caused by fear and worries. Here we also have obsession as well as a rendezvous or a scandal, secret meeting places, and hidden places in general. These are the Romeo and Juliet type of romances, often deadly, dramatic, and secretive. This idea of not being able to have someone publicly creates this even deeper level of obsession with the other person. What we want, we can't have. This unexpressed love festers into obsession. depression. If you were able to express it openly, you probably wouldn't be this insane about it. This is also the darker side of Neptune that causes harm, such as mass delusions. The 12th house influence normally does bring a layer of mental instability in some way. It is called the house of self-undoing. Mental illness definitely comes with a particular isolation, and often a perspective that is detached from reality. When you have anxiety or depression, you may think everybody doesn't like you, but really they're not paying attention to what you do, or the behavior is not personal. These are fears of the ego. Isolation due to mental health is a time of deep processing, but also tends to get stuck in negative emotional and mental thought cycles. It is clear Neptune and Pisces have a positive side, where artistic creativity thrives, and dreams help facilitate your desires. In order to manifest big things and big dreams, you have to have a side to you that believes in things that may seem impossible or unlikely to others. If you are too attached to reality and the physical world, you may be too pessimistic and realistic to achieve the greatest of things. Being a visionary is important if you want to be bigger than life. If you don't believe in big changes very quickly, that is already a self-limiting belief, which is very 12th house coded. To manifest sometimes requires the delusional belief that it will happen. Also, with creating in general of art or anything, it often comes from a sense of undoing. A lot of people create from all ranges of emotion, which include pain and the darkest times in their life in order to transmute those feelings. You can apply these qualities and associations to where you have Pisces, Neptune, and planets you have in the 12th house in your birth chart. A lot of times when you have any planet in any house, it takes on more than one meaning, such as spirituality, art, but also drugs and substances and delusions. For example, having Neptune in the 4th house, and the 4th house has a lot to do with your family, your childhood, the roots of who you are, the foundation of who you are, which is often very influenced by your upbringing. It is a deep house and a spiritual house. This can translate to mean that your family makes you feel trapped in your head, substance abuse is present, there are delusions or lack of clarity about your family or childhood, there are mysteries, secrets, or confusion. This could also mean that your family is very artistic or spiritual, or that could solely just apply to your individual foundation as a person. It would depend on the other aspects and signs involved. This can definitely be a house where you see a lot of karma related to your family. If you have a prominent Neptune placement, then you will typically embody at least some of these characteristics wherever you have it in your chart. It will also depend on what sign Neptune was in when you were born. Currently, Neptune is in the sign of Aries. It just went into Aries this year in March. Before it was in Pisces for about 14 years. That is about how long it takes Neptune to move through one sign, as it has that 165-year orbit, and that's how long it takes to move through the full zodiac. Substances are connected with Neptune symbolism as they can help us connect with the unseen or higher realms. They're useful in shifting perspective when you may be stuck in a particular rigid line of thinking. They expand the mind to think of other perspectives and concepts. In some spiritual practices, it is a goal to not have to be dependent on any substances at all, even like caffeine, to truly connect with your own energy systems. But I think that is very hard to do when we live in a capitalistic society where we have to work to survive. Some cultures and spiritual practices have particular substances to help us connect to what is greater than us. They show us what we can't see on our own and inspire us to reach that enlightenment on our own through our own consciousness evolution. The substances can bring you to a happier place where the messages and insight can flow more freely, or they can also inspire and unblock creative energy. Sometimes you need to be in a happier energy in order to channel whatever you desire. When struggling with your own mental health, substances can be helpful, but obviously dependence can happen, and it does happen a lot. If it goes on too long, it will cause greater issues. There is a YouTuber on here I like. Her channel is called Magnetize Yourself, and the creator's name is Infinity. And the other day, she had a video where she was describing a connection in which the people connected in a spiritual liminal space. A liminal space, by definition, is a transitional area that feels eerie, surreal, and unsettling. This is representing a threshold between what's next, either physically, psychologically, or emotionally. It's like a psychic meeting place for two people in their own own world without anyone else knowing. This is a rendezvous in dreams and places where it seems the physical world is not a limitation for connection. Surrealism and nostalgia in a dream-like state in between two distinct places. It's kind of like the back rooms. It's a private connection point. It is a threshold where one state ends and another begins. There is a sense of ambiguity and disorientation. I picture a connection with Neptunian influence to feel kind of like meeting in these liminal spaces. The connection is often dreamy and delusional. Romance does well in this energy, but when it's not grounded in reality, things can get very confusing. Trying to ground such an expansive energy can be difficult when things and feelings are larger than the box that you're trying to put them in. This is cosmic love and love that exists outside of time and space, which is not a love that a lot of people have, actually. A lot of people have love that is conditional or for superficial reasons. There are people who are able to perceive things naturally that most people cannot, such as spirits, auras, or they have psychic abilities, such as clairvoyance, clairaudience, or claircognizance. It is said that everybody has the ability to develop skills like this, but to some it comes more naturally. I've noticed that with people who can naturally and easily perceive such things, the experience can be constantly overwhelming, at least at first. They are perceiving a lot more information from their environment all the time. This can make processing the experience more tricky as they cannot separate themselves from what they are observing. It is hard to interpret something from an outside perspective if you're always submerged in it. They have to learn how to ground and manage their gifts, otherwise it can lead to psychosis. People like this can often struggle with connecting with the physical world. They can also appear very spacey in general. This is definitely a stereotype for Pisces placements and is very Neptunian. Some people doubt that these gifts are real and that people who claim that they are psychics are all lying. Perception varies greatly from person to person. There are things that people are able to pick on simply physically that other people are oblivious to, such as body language or a change of tone, and they're able to get more information by that physical observation. Perception is not limited to just that physical observation. There are energies at work that can be tapped into as well. But of course, like in any field, there are going to be psychics that are a little scammy, but then there are that are actually really great. In tarot, there are several cards that are associated with these Neptunian themes. The first card I want to talk about is called the Hanged Man. The Hanged Man is a tarot card that is associated with the planet Neptune. The Rider-Waite tarot deck typically depicts a man calmly suspended upside down on a wooden post with a sun behind his head. This card represents a period of time in which a pause in life is needed in order for some sort of clarity, enlightenment, or changed perspective. This Hanged Man seems to be in a trance-like state. Typically, a person could not physically do this for very long without damage or immense pain, but that physical limitation does not apply when you are entered into this enlightened state. This represents surrendering to the rhythms of life, to go inwards, and to wait with a sense of peace. Sometimes this means doing what you believe to be right, even if people think that you are foolish. Sometimes it is not time for action, but for a pause to reflect, expand, and integrate. This is accepting that the universe has a plan, which means there may be a delay as you need incubation time. The Moon card is associated with the sign of Pisces and typically depicts a tamed dog and an untamed wolf, representing the dualistic nature of the psyche, masculine and feminine, light and dark, and conscious and unconscious. There is an eclipsed moon and rough water in the background, indicating a time of emotional intensity and often contradiction. There is a lobster behind the dogs, which the lobster is sometimes depicted as a scorpion or a crab, relating to Cancer and Scorpio energy, who are also water signs. This represents the dark parts of our subconscious that hold us back from enlightenment. It is emerging from the pond to be recognized and released. There is a golden path leading them from the lobster into the deep ocean. The light of the eclipse encourages them to be able to leave behind their confusion, distractions, and to release being controlled by their unconscious desires. This is also considered a spiritual awakening. This card represents a lack of clarity, illusions, confusion, unrest, strange emotions, dreams, or hallucinations. Something is hidden that needs to be addressed as it is unconsciously controlling you. It encourages one to pass through the distortion and fear, to turn away, and to be introspective in a period of withdrawal to one's inner world. The Knight of Cups is called a court card, similar to a jack in a regular playing deck. It is debated which of the court cards are associated with each sign. I typically relate the fixed signs of Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, and Aquarius as the king cards, the cardinal signs, Aries, Libra, Cancer, and Capricorn as the queen cards, and the knights I associate with the mutable signs, Sagittarius, Pisces, Gemini, and Virgo. This means Pisces is associated with the Knight of Cups due to its dynamic and shifting nature. The Knight of Cups shows a knight riding his horse while holding a cup in his hands. He is naturally romantic in nature and lost in his imagination. He is creative and has dreams, but he is not great at putting action behind those dreams. He can be a bit passive in his pursuit. If he can reconcile these qualities, he can evolve to the Queen or King of Cups. This person in a romantic situation can mean that they have romantic feelings but struggle with expressing them or taking action on those feelings. He may not want to commit, but will sell you a dream he won't back up. It is not until elevation to the king or queen will he be able to rectify those blockages. This card can be positive if representing a new person or romantic interest, as deeper feelings have not developed yet. The Eight of Cups is a part of the minor arcana and is associated with the sign of Pisces, but more specifically Saturn in Pisces. This depicts a man walking away on his own near a lot of bodies of water, towards nature and isolation. We also see here another eclipsed sun representing these intense emotions, pushing him to go within and address these deep feelings, seeking greater self-awareness. He is beginning a deep inner journey. Behind him, he leaves 8 cups. This represents that the time has come to leave in a particular situation. There is something that once may have given you happiness, but now it is time to walk away. This may even appear on the outside as a stable situation, but is indeed time to journey into the unknown. Oftentimes this means you have already left a situation emotionally, and soon the physical will match that. This is a time of travel, physically or spiritually. The Nine of Cups is associated with Pisces, but specifically Jupiter in Pisces. This card depicts a man sitting happily on a bench with 9 cups behind him. This represents a lighter side to Pisces. There is physical and emotional contentment. This is having a good time and avoiding worries by focusing on the pleasures life has to offer. This is often a dream come true, joy, prosperity, optimism, and living life fully in your truth. The man is alone in the card, indicating independence is important here. Things in your life are great and coming together more on a personal and emotional level. Jupiter is in domicile or at home in the sign of Pisces. It is comfortable and it does well. This energy can be overdone and cause someone to get too sucked into having a good time and engaging in too many substances. The Ten of Cups is associated with Mars in Pisces. This card is depicted with a family of 4 below a rainbow of 10 cups. This is a positive card of happiness and harmony with your spouse and family. There is joy, wonder, imagination, and life brings happiness. Love and security of couples, family, friendships, and everything you have worked for will come together. Every time I see a rainbow, I think of the Ten of Cups, and I take it as a good omen. The last card I want to discuss is the Seven of Cups, which is associated with Venus in Scorpio. This card is depicted with a man looking at 7 cups or options he has to pick. This represents choices, but also confusion and uncertainty. He has to make a decision, but he doesn't know what to pick. He is distracted by fantasies and illusions. He is lacking grounding and must tap into his instincts and emotions to decide what is best for him. In all of these tarot cards, we see repeating Neptunian themes of the emotional realm, dreams, delusions, fantasy, seclusion, inner work, reflection, and spiritual growth, then enlightenment. That's all I have to you. I hope you enjoyed the video. My name is Lily. Thanks for watching.